What if the very nature of reality is a trick? One we've been conditioned to believe without ever questioning it. As you read these words, your mind may already be slipping into a maze, each thought a turn that pulls you deeper into confusion. The world you know, the very framework of logic, may not be as solid as you think. What happens when you begin to question your own perception of existence? Let's begin this descent into a labyrinth of paradoxes, mind traps that have twisted human thought for centuries. The Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is a place where reality itself seems to warp. Somewhere between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, countless ships and planes have vanished, leaving behind only mystery and confusion. But this isn't just a case of lost travel routes, it's a challenge to the very fabric of our understanding of the world. What happens when you venture into a space where the laws of nature seem to break down? Imagine setting sail across the crystal-clear waters of the Caribbean, your destination just a few hours away. The sun hangs low in the sky, casting a serene glow over the water. But as you drift further into the triangle's grasp, the air thickens. The ocean swells unnaturally, dark clouds gather overhead, and your compass begins to spin uncontrollably. What once seemed like a straight line to safety becomes a twisted maze of reality, a maze where direction and time no longer obey. It's not just the disappearance of ships and planes that makes the Bermuda Triangle so unsettling. It's the fact that no one knows why. Some say it's a portal to another dimension, others suggest a magnetic anomaly that confuses navigation systems. There are theories about underwater alien bases or strange vortexes that cause these vessels to simply vanish. But as you sit in this maze, somewhere between the known and the unknown, a deeper question begins to churn within you. Is the Bermuda Triangle a place that exists within the world, or is it a place that exists beyond it? As you dive deeper into this thought, consider your own reality. What if the world isn't just as it seems? What if there are cracks in the fabric of space and time, places where reality itself bends and twists, and we are all just blindly sailing toward them? And if such cracks exist, then how many of them are hidden, unnoticed, just waiting for someone or something to cross their threshold? Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a mystery not because of its stones, but because of the question it raises. Why were they placed there? In the vast open fields of England, these towering stones stand as silent witnesses to something we will never fully understand. They are not just rocks, they are markers, designed with such precision that their purpose transcends time. How do you explain the idea of placing stones in a perfect alignment with the sun, when those who constructed Stonehenge had no modern tools, no technology to guide them? These ancient builders could not even imagine the world we live in, yet they managed to construct a monument that marks celestial events with eerie accuracy. Imagine standing at the center of the circle, surrounded by these massive stones. You can almost feel the weight of their purpose pressing down on you. Each stone, placed in its exact location, whispers secrets that have been lost to history. Were they placed to track the sun's movements? Or were they part of some ritual, designed to connect the earth with the heavens? The chilling truth is that we don't know. We can speculate, study, and hypothesize, but we can never truly understand why Stonehenge was created, because we cannot grasp the mindset of those who built it. As you stand there, lost in thought, you must confront a deeper question. What does it mean to create something whose meaning is beyond comprehension? What does it say about the builders, and what does it say about us? Could it be that there are things in this world, like Stonehenge, that remain impenetrable, their purpose too vast for the human mind to fathom? The Nazca Lines. In the arid desert of Peru, there are strange shapes, lines, animals, and geometric forms, etched into the earth. These are the Nazca Lines, and their purpose is a mystery that has puzzled humanity for centuries. But the true question isn't what the Nazca Lines are, but rather, why were they made in the first place? As you gaze upon the images, it becomes clear that they are far too large to be fully appreciated from the ground. To see the true scale of these designs, you would need to take to the sky. Yet, the Nazca people, who lived in a time long before flight, created these enormous patterns with remarkable precision, seemingly for no one but the heavens to see. But there's something even more unsettling when you look at these lines. How can something made for no one be so intricately designed? What does it mean to create something that can only be understood from a vantage point beyond the reach of its creators? Was this an act of communication with gods? A message to future civilizations? Or perhaps an artistic expression that transcended their time? The lines themselves are an unsettling reminder of how limited our perspective is. We are trapped on the ground, unable to fully comprehend the vastness of these works. And in that limitation, we are forced to ask, what if there are truths in this world that we will never be able to see, simply because our view is too narrow? If the Nazca lines were meant to be seen from the skies, then what other mysteries are hidden above us, beyond our comprehension? The Pyramids of Giza. The Pyramids of Giza have stood for millennia, towering over the sands of Egypt. But the question remains, how did ancient humans construct these massive structures with such precision? The fact that they exist at all, perfectly aligned with the stars, seems to defy logic. As you stand at the base of the Great Pyramid, your gaze is drawn upward, and you feel the weight of history pressing down on you. You can't help but wonder how something so perfect, so impossible, could have been built by people with primitive tools. The stones that form the pyramid are massive, yet they fit together so perfectly that not even a razor blade could slip between them. Now, imagine the labor that went into building this structure. Decades of work, the sweat and blood of thousands of people, all for a tomb. But what if it wasn't just a tomb? What if the pyramids were a key, a gateway to something greater, something hidden beneath the sands? The idea that the pyramids are simply tombs feels inadequate. There must be something more to them, something that eludes our understanding. The alignment with the stars, the mathematical precision, it all points to something beyond the comprehension of those who built it. As you ponder this, the unsettling question lingers. If we cannot understand the purpose of the pyramids, what else might be hidden from us, just beyond the veil of perception? And if our minds are incapable of grasping their full significance, does that mean we are blind to truths far more profound than we dare imagine? The Lost City of Atlantis. The myth of Atlantis is an enigma that has haunted mankind for centuries. An advanced civilization that disappeared without a trace, swallowed by the ocean, its knowledge and technology lost to time. But as you dive deeper into the myth, a chilling thought begins to surface. Was Atlantis real? And if so, what did its destruction mean for the rest of us? Imagine a city, rich in knowledge and technology, existing long before our modern world. Its people, wise beyond measure, lived in harmony with the natural world, harnessing power we can only dream of today. But then, in the blink of an eye, it was gone. Was it a natural disaster that caused its destruction, or something far more sinister? A warning from the gods? A sign of mankind's hubris? As you delve deeper into this thought, you realize that the story of Atlantis is not just about a lost city. It is a story about the fragility of civilization, about how everything we build, our knowledge, our culture, our technology, can disappear without a trace. And perhaps, in the ruins of Atlantis, there is a warning that what we build today could be lost tomorrow. And so, the question persists, if Atlantis fell, what makes us believe that we are immune to the same fate? What if the very foundations of our own civilization are destined to crumble, forgotten by future generations? The Wow signal. In 1977, a strange radio signal was detected by the Big Ear radio telescope at Ohio State University. It lasted only 72 seconds, but its intensity and pattern were unlike anything ever recorded before. The signal, now known as the Wow signal, seemed to come from a distant star, but it has never been repeated. What if this signal was a message, an invitation, a warning, or something entirely beyond our comprehension? The silence that followed the Wow signal is as eerie as the signal itself. Why has no such message been received since? Could this be the beginning of something far more profound, something that lies just beyond the reach of human understanding? As you contemplate this, you must ask yourself, what if the signal was a one-time event, a brief encounter with something much larger than we are? And what if, in its wake, the silence is a reminder that we are alone in the universe, or perhaps not ready to comprehend what is out there? The Wow signal may have been a brief moment in time, but its absence haunts us. And in that silence, we must wonder, are we listening, or are we too small to hear? The Dyatlov Pass Incident. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers ventured into the Ural Mountains of Russia. They set up camp on the slopes of a remote pass, far from civilization, never to return. When their bodies were found, the mystery only deepened. Some were found with gruesome injuries, broken bones, missing eyes, and one even had their tongue removed, yet there were no signs of a struggle. Their tent was slashed open from the inside, and some of them had fled barefoot into the freezing wilderness in the dead of night, as if fleeing from something unseen. What could drive experienced, intelligent hikers to abandon their shelter in such panic? What force could cause them to run, terrified, into the deadly cold, their bodies left mangled and mutilated? Was it a violent encounter with something, or someone, beyond comprehension? Or was it a force of nature, something the human mind is simply not equipped to understand? As you imagine their desperate flight, a chilling thought creeps in. What if we are just as vulnerable to forces we can't see, feel, or even begin to understand? The terror these hikers must have felt is enough to unsettle the mind, but even more unsettling is the possibility that something like this could happen to anyone, at any time, without warning or explanation. The Dyatlov Pass incident is not just an isolated tragedy. It is a reminder of how little we truly know about the world around us, and how easily our understanding of reality can be shattered. So, as you ponder this, ask yourself, if we can't even explain the terror of a simple camping trip, what else are we blind to? Oak Island Mystery. On Oak Island, a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia, a mystery has captivated treasure hunters for over 2 centuries. In 1795, a young boy discovered a strange depression in the ground, and as he dug, he found layers of logs, stones, and seemingly out-of-place materials. Theories abound about a hidden treasure buried somewhere on the island, treasures said to be left by pirates, the Knights Templar, or even the lost treasures of the Incas. But no matter how many excavations have been made, no one has ever uncovered the treasure. Instead, what's been found are strange, man-made structures, mysterious symbols, and a series of increasingly baffling traps and mechanisms that prevent treasure hunters from getting too close. It's as though the island itself is designed to protect its secrets, or perhaps punish those who dare to search for them. The Oak Island mystery is a paradox of human obsession. We are drawn to the promise of something hidden, something of great value, but the deeper we dig, the more we seem to uncover only questions, not answers. It's a reminder that some mysteries may exist not to be solved, but to perpetuate their own mystery. But as you ponder this, consider the unsettling possibility that there are things in life that cannot be uncovered. Perhaps the true treasure of Oak Island is the trap itself, the cycle of desire, failure, and perpetual searching. And so, the question looms, what if the real treasure lies not in the finding, but in the pursuit? The Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich Manuscript is one of the most bizarre and confounding objects ever discovered. A book filled with strange symbols, unknown language, and surreal illustrations. It was discovered in 1912 by a rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich. Despite decades of research, no one has been able to decipher its contents. Some believe it is a work of ancient knowledge, others think it's a hoax, but no theory has managed to explain its existence fully. As you look at the pages, the strange symbols seem to mock you. They dance across the paper, a language just out of reach, a mystery that beckons but refuses to reveal itself. The illustrations depict strange plants, distant stars, and naked figures performing bizarre rituals, yet none of it makes sense. What is the true meaning of the Voynich Manuscript? Was it written by someone who knew something we don't? Or is it simply a product of a mind that sought to create chaos, to confound the rational and the ordered? The more you study it, the more you realize that the manuscript is not just a puzzle. It is a reflection of our inability to truly know. It is a paradox wrapped in ink and parchment, a creation designed to push the boundaries of human understanding to their breaking point. And so, we must ask, if a mystery cannot be solved, does it remain a mystery forever? Or is it our inability to solve it that makes it so? The Beale Ciphers. In the 19th century, a man named Thomas Beale allegedly hid a treasure worth millions of dollars in Virginia. He left behind a series of 3 ciphers, one of which allegedly contains the location of the treasure. To this day, only one of the ciphers has been solved, leaving the location of the treasure unknown. The other two ciphers remain a puzzle, cryptic, perplexing, and unsolvable. What is most disturbing about the Beale ciphers is not just the treasure that might lie buried beneath the earth, but the sheer frustration of its inaccessibility. The idea that knowledge, something so vital, exists, yet remains out of reach, leaves you questioning how much we truly understand. The cipher that has been solved has revealed a cryptic clue: the treasure is indeed hidden in Virginia. But the rest, the other two ciphers, remain locked, as if the key to the mystery is just beyond our grasp. The deeper you dig into the story of the Beale ciphers, the more you begin to realize that the treasure might not be gold or jewels at all, but the knowledge itself, the tantalizing promise of something more, forever out of reach. And so, the question gnaws at you. What does it mean when a treasure is left deliberately hidden, and what does it mean for us to keep searching for it, knowing it may never be found? The Sphinx of Giza. The Sphinx of Giza, with its stoic gaze directed towards the horizon, has stood for thousands of years, but its true origins remain shrouded in mystery. Carved from a single block of limestone, it is a monument to something ancient, a symbol of power, wisdom, and mystery. But as you stare into its enigmatic eyes, you realize that the questions surrounding the Sphinx are not just about its origins, but about what it represents. Why was the Sphinx built? Who built it? Was it a symbol of a lost civilization, or was it something much older than we think? Perhaps a relic of a time before recorded history. Theories abound, from the idea that it is a guardian of sacred knowledge to the notion that it holds the key to unlocking a forgotten past. But no theory has ever been proven, and the Sphinx remains an object of fascination and frustration. The true horror of the Sphinx lies not in its stone form, but in the mystery of its existence. The idea that something so monumental, so seemingly alive, could have been constructed by people who have long since passed, yet whose intentions are forever lost to time, is an unsettling thought. As you contemplate the Sphinx, you begin to wonder, what if the greatest mysteries are not those that we will uncover, but those that are destined to remain unknown? The Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster is a creature of myth, a serpent-like being said to inhabit the deep waters of Scotland's Loch Ness. For decades, people have claimed to see it, some even taking photos of its large, undulating form. But despite the many sightings and the ongoing search for evidence, the creature has never been definitively proven to exist. The Loch Ness Monster exists in the space between belief and skepticism, between the known and the unknown. It is a creature whose very existence challenges the way we perceive reality. How can something so elusive, so unseen by those who claim to search for it, remain a part of the human consciousness for so long? Is it simply a trick of the mind, a product of folklore, or does it hint at something deeper, something we are not meant to understand? The more you think about the Loch Ness Monster, the more you begin to see it not just as a physical being, but as a symbol of the mysteries that persist, that refuse to be answered, even in the face of overwhelming evidence. As you reflect on this, a disturbing thought rises. If we cannot know the truth about the Loch Ness Monster, what other truths might be just as elusive, waiting to slip through our grasp? Mokulme Mbembe. Deep within the dense swamps of the Congo River Basin, in Central Africa, lies the legend of a creature that defies all known biology. The Mokulme Mbembe is said to be a living dinosaur, a giant, sauropod-like creature, described by those who have claimed to see it as having a long neck, a thick body, and an enormous tail. Despite numerous expeditions, no physical evidence has ever been found. Yet, the belief in its existence endures, sustained by the accounts of native tribes and explorers who swear they've seen it. What if this creature exists, not as a relic of the distant past, but as a living enigma, hiding in plain sight in one of the least explored regions of the earth? If it does exist, it forces you to confront a terrifying thought. What if there are things in this world, vast and unknown, that exist just beyond our reach, in places we cannot fathom, in environments we dare not explore? The more you try to imagine the Mokulme Mbembe, the more you realize that its existence challenges everything we believe about extinction, evolution, and the limits of nature. Could a creature from the age of dinosaurs still be roaming, hiding in the shadows of the jungle? And if it is real, what else could be lurking in the forgotten corners of the earth, waiting to be uncovered? You are left with this unsettling thought. If something so massive, so impossible, could exist and evade discovery, What else are we blind to in our own world? The bloop. In 1997, an ultra-low frequency sound was detected in the South Pacific Ocean by a series of hydrophones. The sound, named the bloop, was unlike anything ever heard before. It was so loud and powerful that it was recorded over 3,000 kilometers away. Some scientists believed the sound was caused by an icequake or a marine animal, but others speculated that it could have come from something far more mysterious. The idea that something so massive, so strange, could exist in the depths of the ocean, something we may never fully understand, feels like a terrible, creeping realization. The ocean is a vast, unexplored frontier, home to creatures and phenomena that defy comprehension. Could the bloop be the sound of an unknown giant lurking in the abyss, waiting to reveal itself? As you imagine the deep, dark waters of the ocean, the chilling question emerges. What else lies hidden in the depths, untouched and unseen by human eyes? If the bloop was the sound of a creature or event we cannot explain, what other mysteries are waiting in the unfathomable dark? Taos hum. In the small town of Taos, New Mexico, an eerie sound has plagued residents for decades. It's a low-frequency hum, so persistent that it's become known as the Taos hum. Despite numerous studies, the source of the hum has never been identified. Some people hear it, while others don't, making it even more unnerving. The hum is often described as a deep, rumbling sound that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. What is the nature of the Taos hum? Is it a phenomenon of the mind, a psychological effect that only affects certain people? Or is it something real, something physical, a sound coming from a source that remains hidden from view? The more you try to investigate it, the more it seems to slip through your fingers, defying explanation. As you imagine the hum vibrating through the walls of your own home, you begin to wonder, what if we are surrounded by things we cannot hear, cannot see, yet they persist, silently intruding into our lives? Could this hum, this subtle disturbance, be a reminder that there is much in this world, much in reality itself, that remains just beyond our understanding? The Taos hum makes you question your own perception of the world. What if we are never meant to understand everything? And what if, in that gap of understanding, lies the true mystery? The Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer was a serial murderer who terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The killer sent cryptic letters to the press, taunting law enforcement and the public. He claimed to have killed 37 people, but only a handful of his victims were confirmed. Despite the widespread attention, the Zodiac's identity remains a mystery, and his final letter, sent in 1974, was the last communication from the killer. What makes the Zodiac Killer so unsettling is not just the gruesome nature of his crimes, but the psychological torment he inflicted on the public. He wanted to be caught, he wanted to be known, yet he remained elusive, his true identity concealed by layers of cryptic symbols, puzzles, and lies. As you imagine the terror these letters must have caused, you realize that the Zodiac Killer is not just a man, but an idea, a symbol of the darker side of human nature, one that exists in the shadows of society. Could the Zodiac have been part of something larger, something that exists in plain sight, just beneath the surface? The killer's message leaves a chilling question. What if the true horror of the Zodiac is not in his actions, but in the fact that he may have left clues to his identity, and yet, we still can't solve the puzzle? What does that say about us? About the limits of our understanding of evil, of human nature? The Mary Celeste. In 1872, the Mary Celeste, a merchant ship, was discovered abandoned in the Atlantic Ocean. The ship was in perfect condition, with food still on the table, the crew's belongings untouched, and no signs of a struggle. The ship's crew had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions. What had happened to them? Did they meet a terrible fate, or did something even more unexplainable occur? The mystery of the Mary Celeste is unsettling because it forces us to confront a terrifying thought. What if we, too, are only a moment's notice away from disappearing without a trace? What if, just like the crew of the Mary Celeste, we are caught in a world where our existence is fragile, and the unknown can claim us in an instant, without warning, without explanation? The ship is a symbol of life's most disturbing reality, that sometimes there is no answer, no reason, no closure. And perhaps, in that vast, empty ocean, the real mystery is not the ship itself, but the disappearance of time, of memory, of what we leave behind when we vanish. And so, you must ask, if the crew of the Mary Celeste vanished without a trace, what other disappearances are happening right now, just beyond our comprehension? The Black Dahlia murder. In 1947, Elizabeth Short, a young woman, was found murdered and grotesquely mutilated in Los Angeles. The case became infamous not just for the brutality of the crime, but for the haunting mystery surrounding it. Despite extensive media coverage and numerous suspects, the Black Dahlia case remains unsolved to this day. What makes the Black Dahlia murder so chilling is not just the savagery of the crime, but the fact that it remains an open wound in the history of American crime. The killer left behind no clear clues, no definitive trail, just a trail of rumors, false confessions, and twisted theories. It's as though the truth of the case is deliberately hidden, wrapped in layers of misinformation and confusion. The Black Dahlia murder forces you to confront the uncomfortable reality of human darkness, the idea that there are forces in the world that we cannot control, forces that leave no trace, no explanation. The fact that the case remains unsolved only deepens the unease, suggesting that some things are simply beyond our grasp. As you reflect on this, the question remains, if the truth behind the Black Dahlia murder is hidden, what other dark secrets remain buried in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? Great Zimbabwe ruins. Deep in the heart of southern Africa, a vast stone city rises from the earth. The Great Zimbabwe ruins, remnants of an ancient civilization that once thrived in the region, remain one of the greatest mysteries of the African continent. The ruins, which include massive stone walls, towers, and intricate structures, suggest a society of remarkable skill and sophistication, but nothing about them explains their true purpose or the identity of the people who built them. As you stand among these colossal stones, you cannot help but feel a sense of awe. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. Stones fit so perfectly together that not even a razor blade could fit between them. Yet, no written records exist to explain who built them or why they were abandoned. The only clues are the ruins themselves, surrounded by the silent desert, untouched by time. Who were the people who lived here? And why did they disappear, leaving behind such an impressive, yet abandoned, city? Some theories suggest that they were ancient kings, while others speculate that the ruins were a center for religious rituals. But none of these answers come with certainty. The unsettling truth of the Great Zimbabwe ruins is that we may never fully understand them. The questions they pose are not just about an ancient civilization. They are about our own limitations as a species. The mystery of Great Zimbabwe challenges us to confront the possibility that there are things in this world, hidden in the sands of time, that will remain out of reach forever. And so, we are left with the haunting question: what if the true purpose of the Great Zimbabwe ruins is not to be understood, but to remind us of how little we truly know about the past? Lost colony of Roanoke. In 1587, a group of settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina, to establish a new colony in the New World. But when a supply ship returned 3 years later, the colony had vanished without a trace. The only clue left behind was the word Croton carved into a tree. What happened to the settlers? Did they leave voluntarily? Were they taken by force? Or was something even more sinister at play? The mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke is unsettling because it represents an event so complete in its disappearance that it challenges our very understanding of human history. The settlers left no bodies, no remains, not even a hint of what happened to them. It's as though they simply ceased to exist. Imagine standing on that island, looking around at the dense forest, and realizing that the answers you seek are locked somewhere in time, beyond your reach. The idea that an entire group of people could vanish so completely, leaving behind only the faintest of traces, forces you to confront a terrifying possibility. What if some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, slipping away forever from our grasp? And so, we are left with this chilling thought: what if the real mystery of Roanoke isn't the disappearance of a colony, but the way in which history itself can vanish, leaving no trace, no memory, no answer? Hinterkaifeck murders. In 1922, a family living on the Hinterkaifeck farm in rural Germany was brutally murdered, their bodies discovered inside their home. But what makes this case so chilling is not just the murder itself, but the eerie events that occurred in the days leading up to it. Neighbors reported strange lights in the house, and the families made claimed to have seen someone lurking in the attic. But despite the evidence of an intruder, no one was ever caught, and the mystery remains unsolved to this day. The Hinterkaifeck murders are unsettling because they suggest a darker, more sinister side of human nature. A family was murdered in cold blood, but the true identity of the killer remains a mystery. What drives someone to murder an entire family in such a secluded place? And why did they return, night, after committing the crime, leaving behind evidence of their presence, yet never revealing themselves? As you contemplate the haunting nature of the Hinterkaifeck murders, you begin to realize that the true horror lies not in the murder itself, but in the fact that there are forces in the world, human and otherwise, that can elude even the most thorough investigations. It is as though the killer is still out there, hiding in the shadows, waiting for the next opportunity to strike. And so, the unsettling question remains, what if the true horror of the Hinterkaifeck murders isn't the killer's identity, but the fact that they may never be known? Disappearance of Flight MH370. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 disappeared without a trace, vanishing from radar screens somewhere over the southern Indian Ocean. Despite extensive search efforts, no wreckage was found for months, and only a few pieces of debris were recovered later. The flight's disappearance remains one of the greatest mysteries in modern aviation history. The disappearance of MH370 is unsettling because it forces us to confront the terrifying possibility that we are not in control of our own safety. What happened to the plane? Did it experience a catastrophic failure, or was it something more sinister? Some speculate that the plane was hijacked, others suggest a more tragic outcome, but the truth is, we may never know. As you reflect on this, you realize that the disappearance of Flight MH370 is not just about a missing plane. It is about the fragility of existence itself. The idea that, in an instant, something so monumental, so certain, can simply vanish without a trace. The unanswered questions echo in your mind. What if we are all just one moment away from disappearing, with no one ever knowing why? The Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin is a centuries-old piece of cloth believed by some to be the burial shroud of Jesus Christ. The image of a man, thought to be Christ, is faintly visible on the cloth, and the shroud has long been the subject of intense debate. Some believe it is a miraculous relic, others say it is a medieval hoax. But despite centuries of scientific testing, the true origin of the shroud remains a mystery. What is most unsettling about the Shroud of Turin is not just the image it bears, but the question it raises about belief, faith, and the nature of miracles. Is this cloth a physical object, or is it something far deeper? A symbol of something beyond our understanding, something that transcends time and logic. The Shroud of Turin, as it sits behind glass, is more than just a relic, it is a paradox. It presents an image of a man who lived over 2,000 years ago, yet it feels real, as if it were created in some distant past that we cannot access. And perhaps that is the true mystery of the Shroud, that it forces us to confront the boundaries of human understanding, to face the possibility that there are things beyond science, beyond reason, that we cannot explain. So, we are left to wonder, if the Shroud is real, what does it say about the nature of miracles and the reality we live in? The Roswell Incident. In 1947, something crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. The U.S. military initially reported that it was a flying disc, but quickly retracted the statement and said it was a weather balloon. Since then, the Roswell incident has been the subject of endless speculation, conspiracy theories, and debate. Did an extraterrestrial craft crash in the desert that night? And if so, why has the government kept the truth hidden? The Roswell incident is unsettling not because of the supposed crash itself, but because it highlights the ways in which the truth can be obscured. For decades, the government denied the existence of UFOs, yet countless sightings, testimonies, and strange occurrences suggest that we are not alone in the universe. As you reflect on the Roswell incident, you can't help but feel the weight of secrecy, the sense that there are truths out there that we are simply not meant to know. The idea that the truth could be hidden in plain sight is perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the mystery. The question that lingers is this: what else is hidden from us, and what does it mean that the truth may be closer than we think, just out of reach? The Tunguska Event. In 1908, an explosion of unimaginable force occurred in the remote forests of Siberia. It flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of trees, yet no crater was found. The explosion, often referred to as the Tunguska event, was felt as far away as Europe, but the cause remains shrouded in mystery. Some scientists speculate it was the impact of a comet or asteroid, while others suggest it may have been the result of a strange, undetected phenomenon. But what if the truth lies somewhere far more unsettling? What if the Tunguska event was not caused by a physical object at all, but something far more bizarre, an event beyond our understanding of nature? As you imagine the massive blast ripping through the Siberian wilderness, you realize that the Tunguska event challenges the very foundations of what we know about our planet. Could there be forces, perhaps from beyond our world, that we cannot comprehend? Forces that, in an instant, could change everything, leaving us standing helpless, watching as nature itself shifts? And so, the question haunts you: if an event of such magnitude can happen with no explanation, what else is out there, waiting to be discovered, something that could shatter everything we think we know? The mysterious death of Edgar Allan Poe. In 1849, Edgar Allan Poe, the master of the macabre, was found delirious on the streets of Baltimore. He died shortly after, under mysterious circumstances, unable to explain how he ended up in such a state. His death remains one of literature's greatest unsolved mysteries. Was it a result of alcohol, drugs, or something more sinister? The strangeness of Poe's death lies not just in the details of his physical state, but in the life he lived, the dark, tortured existence that often mirrored the themes of his writing. Was his death a natural consequence of his own demons, or was it something else, something designed to echo the very horror he so often wrote about? Could he have been murdered, or was he simply a victim of his own self-destructive nature? As you reflect on his final days, you begin to question the nature of his death. What if Poe was not just writing about death, but about his own inevitable end, a fate that he somehow sensed was coming? What if his life and his death were part of a story much darker than we can comprehend, something that exists beyond the surface of what we can see? And so, you ask yourself, what if Poe's mysterious death is just one of many stories left untold, locked away in the shadows of history, never to be fully understood? Dark matter. Dark matter is one of the greatest mysteries of modern physics. It makes up about 85% of the mass of the universe, yet it cannot be seen, touched, or detected by any means we currently possess. It is as if it exists in an entirely different dimension, hidden in plain sight, influencing galaxies and stars without us ever truly knowing it. As you imagine the vast, invisible presence of dark matter, you realize the terrifying implications. What if the most fundamental aspect of the universe, what makes up the majority of everything, is something we cannot even begin to perceive? If our understanding of reality is so limited, what does that say about everything we know? The mystery of dark matter forces you to confront a reality where what is most important, what holds everything together, is invisible to us. Our senses and tools are inadequate to perceive it, and yet, it is all around us, influencing the universe in ways we cannot fathom. And so, the question lingers in the background: if dark matter can't be seen or understood, how many other invisible forces govern our lives, shaping our reality without us ever knowing? Crystal skulls. Crystal skulls are ancient artifacts, carved from pure crystal, that have sparked fascination and fear in equal measure. Some believe they hold supernatural powers, while others think they were created by advanced ancient civilizations. Yet, despite numerous claims of their mystical properties, the true origin and purpose of these skulls remain unknown. The more you study these skulls, the more they seem to mock your understanding of history. How could something so precise, so beautiful, be created without modern tools? Why do these skulls, despite being made from solid crystal, show no signs of wear or imperfections? Some claim that the skulls are the remnants of an ancient race with knowledge far beyond our own, while others suggest they are tools for ritual, possibly even keys to unlocking hidden knowledge. The mystery of the crystal skulls is unsettling not just because of their strange craftsmanship, but because they represent the unknown, the ancient, and the supernatural. Could these skulls be more than just artifacts? They could be relics from a time when humanity possessed knowledge we have since lost. And so, the haunting question remains: If the crystal skulls are not merely relics, but something far more powerful, what could they be trying to tell us? The disappearance of the Eilean Mor lighthouse keepers. In 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers disappeared from the remote Eilean Mor lighthouse off the coast of Scotland. Their disappearance was utterly baffling. The lighthouse was found in perfect condition, with no sign of struggle, but the men were nowhere to be found. Theories abound, from a freak accident to an encounter with a mysterious force, but no explanation has ever been definitively proven. The Eilean Mor mystery is unsettling because it represents an inexplicable vanishing, a reality where people disappear without a trace, leaving behind only empty rooms and unanswered questions. What happened to these men? Did they simply leave, as some suggest? Or was there something far more sinister at play, something that caused them to vanish without a trace, never to return? As you consider the eerie quiet of the lighthouse, the wind howling through the broken windows, you can't help but feel the creeping discomfort that something remains just beyond reach, a truth forever hidden in the dark. And so, you are left to wonder, what if there are places in this world, places like Eilean Mor, that are not meant to be understood, where reality itself is stretched thin, waiting to swallow those who come too close? The Philadelphia Experiment. In 1943, the U.S. Navy supposedly conducted a secret experiment at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, aimed at rendering a ship, the USS Eldridge, invisible to radar. But according to reports, the experiment went horribly wrong. Some claim that the ship disappeared entirely, traveling through time and space before reappearing days later. The crew was allegedly left with horrific side effects. Some were fused into the ship's metal, others went insane, and some simply vanished. The Philadelphia experiment is unsettling because it suggests that the boundaries of time, space, and reality itself can be manipulated. Could the military have accidentally unlocked a force of nature that we are not meant to control? What if the experiment worked? What if it showed that time and space are not as rigid as we believe, that they can be bent, stretched, and warped? As you contemplate this possibility, a terrifying thought begins to emerge. What if the very fabric of reality can be altered by human hands, and we have only begun to scratch the surface of its true power? And so, the question remains, what if the Philadelphia experiment wasn't an isolated event, but a glimpse into a future where time and space are no longer fixed? California Gold Rush Ghost Towns. The California Gold Rush of the mid-1800s brought thousands of hopeful miners to the West, seeking fortune in the hills and streams. But as the gold ran out and the population dwindled, entire towns were abandoned, leaving behind empty streets, decaying buildings, and eerie remnants of a once thriving industry. These ghost towns stand as silent witnesses to human ambition, greed, and failure. There is something deeply unsettling about these abandoned towns. They are frozen in time, monuments to the fleeting nature of success. The streets are empty, the buildings abandoned, yet they still echo with the sounds of the past. The question that lingers is, why did these towns disappear so quickly? What caused the sudden exodus? And why do they remain, still standing, yet uninhabited, as if waiting for something, or someone, to return? The California Gold Rush ghost towns are not just relics of history. They are reminders that all things, even the most promising, are temporary. The gold may have run out, but the echoes of those who sought it remain. And so, you must ask, what do these ghost towns really represent? Are they simply abandoned places, or are they warnings, echoes of human desires and failures that we would rather forget? Dybbuk Box. The Dybbuk Box is a wine cabinet that became infamous for its supposed supernatural properties. It was claimed to be haunted by a dybbuk, a malicious spirit from Jewish folklore that attaches itself to objects. The box has been linked to a series of strange occurrences, including ill health, nightmares, and a series of unfortunate events. Those who have owned the box have reported disturbing paranormal activity, leading some to believe it is cursed. The Dybbuk Box is unsettling because it forces us to confront the possibility that objects can carry with them something far beyond their material form. A force, a spirit, a curse, that we cannot see, cannot touch, but can feel. What if there are things in this world that are not just haunted in the traditional sense, but imbued with something darker, something more dangerous? As you contemplate the eerie nature of the Dybbuk Box, the unsettling thought grows. What if objects, places, and people all carry with them unseen forces, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? And so, you are left to ponder. What if the real danger lies not in the things we can see, but in the things we cannot? Forces beyond our understanding, quietly waiting for us to notice. Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient Greek analog computer, discovered in 1901 in a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. Dating back to around 100 BC, this small, intricate device was designed to predict astronomical positions and eclipses. But what makes the Antikythera mechanism so baffling is that such technology was thought to have been developed much later, not by the ancient Greeks but by civilizations far more advanced in science and mathematics. As you imagine the gears of the mechanism turning, each cog and wheel clicking into place, you realize that this device is more than just a piece of ancient technology. It's a riddle, a paradox wrapped in metal and brass. How could a civilization without modern tools and materials craft such a complex instrument? What was the true purpose of the Antikythera mechanism? Was it merely an astronomical device, or was it part of something larger, something we are only beginning to understand? The mystery of the Antikythera mechanism challenges our assumptions about the past. It forces us to consider the possibility that the ancient world had access to knowledge and technology we have yet to uncover, or perhaps have forgotten. And so, the unsettling question arises: what if the true secrets of our past are buried in objects like the Antikythera mechanism, waiting to be rediscovered, challenging everything we think we know about our own history? Disappearance of the Sodder children. On Christmas Eve in 1945, a fire destroyed the Sodder family home in West Virginia, and 5 children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were believed to have perished in the blaze. However, their bodies were never found, and evidence suggested that the fire had not spread in the way it should have. The mystery deepened when the parents, George and Jenny Sodder, began to receive strange clues suggesting that their children might still be alive, possibly abducted. What happened to the Sodder children? Were they taken by someone, or was there a far more sinister force at work that night? As you consider the family's search for answers, a terrifying thought lingers. What if there are forces in the world, hidden, mysterious, that can take people away, vanishing them without a trace, leaving only confusion and pain behind? The disappearance of the Sodder children challenges the idea of finality. In death, we expect closure, but in this case, the mystery refuses to end, forcing us to confront the possibility that some events cannot be explained, no matter how much we search for answers. And so, you ask yourself, if the Sodder children can disappear so completely, what else in our world can be erased from existence without a trace, and what are we truly capable of understanding? Death of Cleopatra. Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, died in 30 BC under mysterious circumstances. Officially, it is believed that she committed suicide by snakebite, but the truth of her death has been the subject of much debate. Did she really die at her own hand, or was she murdered by those who sought to claim her throne? Was her death a result of political intrigue, or was it part of a grander plan to escape the consequences of losing her kingdom to Rome? As you imagine the moment of her death, whether a final act of defiance or an inevitable surrender, the question grows more complex. What was Cleopatra's legacy? And what role did her death play in shaping the future of Egypt and Rome? Cleopatra's death, shrouded in mystery, forces us to confront the idea that history is written by those who survive, and the truth of her passing may have been deliberately concealed, lost to time, and reshaped into myth. And so, we must ask, what if the deaths of great figures like Cleopatra were not just personal tragedies, but symbolic of the secrets history hides, buried beneath layers of time and power? Mysterious lights of Marfa. For over a century, strange lights have been seen in the skies near the small town of Marfa, Texas. These lights, known as the Marfa lights, appear unpredictably, floating and moving across the horizon. Despite countless investigations, no definitive explanation has ever been found. Some suggest they are car headlights or atmospheric phenomena, while others believe they are caused by ghosts or extraterrestrial forces. The Marfa lights force you to confront a mystery that exists just beyond the grasp of human understanding. Imagine standing in the desert, the vast expanse of the night sky above you, as you witness the lights flickering in the distance. Are they natural, man-made, or something else. The more you try to rationalize their existence, the more they evade explanation, like a riddle that refuses to be solved. The lights seem to exist in a space between belief and skepticism, between the known and the unknown. As you watch them flicker, you realize that the Marfa lights may not just be a strange phenomenon, but a symbol of the mysteries that linger just beyond the edge of our comprehension. And so, the question arises, what if the Marfa lights are not just unexplained phenomena, but a reminder of how little we understand about the world around us? Old yellow stain on the moon. When Apollo 11 astronauts first landed on the moon, they noticed a strange yellow stain on the lunar surface, visible from their spacecraft. Although this was never fully explained, the stain has sparked a range of theories, from the mundane to the bizarre. Some believe it's simply an optical illusion, while others suggest that it could be a byproduct of the moon's mysterious past, a clue to an ancient event. The yellow stain on the moon represents the concept of the unknown, something so distant, so far removed from human understanding, that we can only speculate about its origin. The moon itself, a familiar yet alien body in our sky, is a place of mystery, and this stain challenges our ability to comprehend everything about it. As you think about the stain, you can't help but feel the weight of cosmic uncertainty pressing down on you. The moon, a symbol of constancy and certainty, now holds a hidden mark, a reminder that there is always more to discover, even in the places we think we know. And so, the question hangs in the air. What if the moon is not the sterile, lifeless place we think it is, but a record of something else? Something older, more mysterious, and far beyond our comprehension. Devil's Kettle. In Minnesota, there is a waterfall with an extraordinary feature. One of its streams seems to disappear into a hole, known as the Devil's Kettle, and no one knows where it goes. Despite extensive efforts, no one has ever been able to trace the water's path. It vanishes without a trace, as if the earth itself swallows it whole, and the mystery has intrigued scientists and thrill-seekers alike. The Devil's Kettle is unsettling because it represents a gap in our understanding of the natural world. We are conditioned to believe that every mystery has an answer, that every phenomenon can be explained. But the Devil's Kettle stands as a reminder that some things will always remain hidden, just beyond our grasp. As you think about the water that flows into the hole, disappearing without a trace, you realize that the mystery is not just about the water, it's about what it represents. It's about the gap between the known and the unknown, the space where our understanding falters. And so, the question emerges, what if the Devil's Kettle is not just a hole in the ground, but a symbol of everything we cannot explain, a reminder that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved? Ghost Ship of Northumberland Strait. The Ghost Ship of Northumberland Strait is a legend that has haunted the waters between Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick in Canada. According to stories, the ghostly apparition of a ship can be seen floating across the strait on foggy nights, sometimes moving without a crew, other times with spectral figures aboard. The ship is said to be the ghost of a vessel lost to the sea long ago. The story of the ghost ship is unsettling not just because of the eerie sightings, but because it suggests the possibility that someone, could be lost in time, caught between life and death, forever haunting the waters of the strait. What if the ship is not just a ghost, but a reminder of the souls lost at sea, those who never made it to shore? As you reflect on this, you begin to ask, what if there are more ghost ships out there, more lost souls, trapped in the waters between the living and the dead, waiting to be seen? Clovis people. The Clovis people were once thought to be the first humans to settle in North America, arriving around 13,000 years ago. But new evidence suggests that people may have been on the continent far earlier, and the story of the Clovis people might not be as simple as we once thought. Who were the Clovis people, and what happened to them? The mystery of the Clovis people is unsettling because it forces us to confront the idea that our understanding of history may be incomplete, that the past is not as clear-cut as we would like to believe. The idea that there were people here long before the Clovis, or even before the first recorded settlers, challenges everything we know about human migration, survival, and evolution. And so, we are left to wonder, what if the true history of human civilization on this continent is far more complex and ancient than we ever imagined? Moai statues of Easter Island. On the remote island of Rapa Nui, also known as Easter Island, towering stone statues known as Moai stand as silent sentinels, their faces carved with striking precision. There are nearly 900 of these massive statues, some weighing several tons, yet no one knows exactly how they were transported across the island. The moai are believed to represent ancestors, but the mystery lies in how they were moved without modern technology. Imagine standing before one of these massive stone faces, the ocean winds whipping through your hair, and feeling a profound sense of awe. The moai are not just relics, they are symbols of a civilization's incredible achievement and its utter disappearance. The people who built them vanished, leaving only these statues behind, as if the statues themselves were intended to outlast them, to bear witness to something that was lost to time. The true horror of the moai statues is not their size or their craftsmanship, but the unanswered question of why they were built and how they were moved. Were they simply created to honor the dead, or was there a deeper, more mystical purpose to their existence? What force drove the people of Easter Island to erect these towering monuments in isolation, and why did they disappear so suddenly, leaving no trace of their knowledge? The moai are a reminder of the fragility of human civilization, the way cultures can rise and fall, leaving only fragments behind. And so, you must ask, what if the moai are not just statues, but the remnants of a forgotten power, a force lost to time, waiting to be discovered? Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is a phenomenon where large groups of people remember something differently than how it occurred. The name comes from the false collective memory of Nelson Mandela's death in the 1980s. This strange alteration of memory raises an unsettling question. What if our perception of reality is not as fixed as we believe? What if there are entire events, people, or experiences that have been altered, or never existed, and we are simply unaware of it? Imagine a simple memory, like the color of a childhood toy or the title of a beloved movie. Now imagine that millions of people share this same, distorted memory, yet the facts are different. The Mandela effect suggests that our memories are not as reliable as we think, and that entire swaths of history might be fabricated in the minds of the collective. The true discomfort of the Mandela effect is the realization that reality might not be as solid as we perceive. What if our memories are constantly shifting, shaping a version of the world that isn't entirely real? Could our understanding of the past be altered not by new evidence, but by a fundamental shift in perception itself? As you reflect on this, you are forced to ask, what if the Mandela effect isn't a glitch in memory, but a sign that reality itself is far more malleable and unstable than we ever imagined? Bermuda Triangle Air Force disappearance. The Bermuda Triangle is infamous for mysterious disappearances, but one of the most chilling cases involves Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy bombers that disappeared without a trace in 1945. Despite being sent on a routine training mission, the planes got lost, and their crew, along with a rescue plane that went searching for them, vanished into the vast ocean. The last transmission from the pilots was cryptic, and no wreckage was ever found. What makes the Bermuda Triangle Air Force disappearance so unsettling is not just the unexplained loss of the planes, but the eerie silence that followed. No distress signal, no evidence of a crash, just a void, a disappearance that defies logic. Were the planes caught in some kind of vortex, a natural anomaly that distorted time and space? Or was something more sinister at play, an event that somehow altered the fabric of reality itself? As you imagine the planes disappearing into the unknown, the unsettling question emerges. What if the Bermuda Triangle is a portal, a place where the rules of time, space, and existence don't apply? What if we are living in a world where certain places are beyond our comprehension, where the very laws of nature can break down at will? And so, you are left to wonder, if planes can vanish without a trace in a place like the Bermuda Triangle, what else might be slipping through the cracks of our understanding, right in front of our eyes? Lost Tomb of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, one of history's most legendary figures, conquered vast swathes of the known world, but despite his monumental achievements, the location of his tomb remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Alexander's tomb was said to be in Alexandria, Egypt, but over the centuries, it has never been found. Many have searched for it, but it has remained elusive, hidden beneath the sands of time. Why does the tomb of such a powerful figure remain lost? Is it possible that Alexander's final resting place holds something so significant that it has been deliberately concealed? Some believe that the tomb contains treasures and knowledge, others think it holds a deeper secret about Alexander's reign and his vision for the future of the world. The mystery of the lost tomb of Alexander the Great forces us to confront the possibility that history can bury even its greatest figures, concealing their legacy and leaving their stories unfinished. What secrets could Alexander's tomb hold? And why has it remained hidden for so long? As you consider this, the question arises, what if the tomb of Alexander the Great holds a truth so powerful, so world-changing, that it has been kept hidden to prevent us from understanding it? Lost City of Petra. Hidden deep in the deserts of Jordan lies the ancient city of Petra, carved into the red sandstone cliffs. Once a thriving trade hub, Petra was abandoned for centuries before being rediscovered by explorers in the 19th century. But even now, much about the city remains a mystery. How did the Nabateans, who built Petra, possess such advanced knowledge of architecture, engineering, and water management? And why did they abandon the city so suddenly? As you wander through the narrow passageways and gaze upon the magnificent structures of Petra, you begin to wonder, what happened to the people who built this city? The stone carvings and intricate facades seem to tell a story, yet no one knows exactly who the Nabateans were, or why they disappeared so mysteriously. The true mystery of Petra lies not just in its lost city, but in the culture and knowledge that was lost with it. Could Petra have been a center of ancient wisdom, a place where knowledge from an earlier civilization was stored, only to be swallowed by time? And so, the haunting question persists, what if the lost city of Petra is not just a city, but a symbol of everything that can vanish from history? Buried, forgotten, never to be fully understood? Dead Sea Scrolls. In 1947, a young shepherd stumbled upon a cave near the Dead Sea and discovered what would become one of the most significant archaeological finds of all time, the Dead Sea Scrolls. These ancient texts, many of which date back over 2,000 years, contain religious writings, historical accounts, and prophetic visions. Yet, despite their importance, the true meaning of many of the texts remains a mystery. The Dead Sea Scrolls are unsettling not just because they hold ancient knowledge, but because they challenge our understanding of the Bible and the history of the Jewish people. Some of the texts suggest a version of history that differs from the traditional narrative, leading to questions about the origins of religion and the development of human belief systems. As you consider the scrolls, you realize that they are more than just ancient writings. They are a bridge to a past that we are still trying to understand. The knowledge they contain could change everything we know about religion, history, and the origins of human thought. And so, you must ask, what if the Dead Sea Scrolls are not just ancient documents, but keys to a greater mystery, a secret that has been hidden for millennia, waiting to be uncovered? Death of Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the most powerful figures in history, died in exile on the island of St. Helena in 1821. Officially, he died of stomach cancer, but the circumstances of his death have been the subject of much debate. Some believe he was poisoned, others think he died of natural causes, and still, others speculate that his death was part of a larger political plot. Napoleon's death is unsettling not just because of the mystery surrounding it, but because of the legacy he left behind. What if his death was not a simple conclusion to his life, but a carefully orchestrated end to a man whose influence shaped the course of history? Could his death have been engineered by those who feared his return to power? As you think about his last days, confined to a remote island, you realize that his death, like his life, was surrounded by intrigue and secrecy. What if Napoleon's death holds a secret that could change our understanding of the power struggles of his time? And so, the question lingers, what if Napoleon's death was not an end, but a continuation of a greater plot, hidden from the public, sealed in the shadows of history? Crystal Cave of Mexico. Beneath the surface of the Mexican desert lies a cave of unimaginable beauty and terrifying extremes. The Cave of the Crystals, discovered in 2000, is home to massive selenite crystals that reach up to 36 feet long. The conditions inside the cave are so extreme, temperatures above 130 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity near 100%, that it remains inhospitable to human life for any extended period. Yet, this cave exists, as though hidden deep within the earth, waiting to reveal its secret. Imagine stepping into this alien world, surrounded by crystals that glow eerily in the dim light, their surfaces reflecting the harsh light that cuts through the air. The size and intricacy of the crystals seem to defy the laws of nature, as though they were formed by forces beyond our understanding. How could something so beautiful and so fragile exist in such harsh conditions, hidden in the depths of the earth? But the true mystery of the crystal cave is not just the crystals themselves, but the nature of their existence. Why are these crystals so large? How did they form, and why have they remained untouched for so long? The cave suggests that there are forces within our planet that we still don't understand, forces that can create beauty and destruction in equal measure. The cave is a reminder that there are places in this world that exist beyond the limits of human perception, places that can only be understood through mystery and awe. And so, you must ask, what if the crystal cave is not just a place of natural wonder, but a portal to something greater, a realm beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be understood? Dragon's Triangle. The Dragon's Triangle, also known as the Devil's Sea, is a stretch of ocean off the coast of Japan, notorious for its mysterious disappearances. Much like its infamous counterpart, the Bermuda Triangle, the Dragon's Triangle is believed to be a place where ships and planes have vanished without a trace, swallowed by the sea as if they were never there. What makes the Dragon's Triangle so eerie is the legend that surrounds it. Some say it's cursed by ancient forces, while others believe that powerful underwater currents or magnetic anomalies are responsible for the disappearances. Whatever the cause, the result is always the same: mysterious vanishing without explanation. As you imagine yourself sailing through the fog-covered waters, the creeping sense of dread builds. What if the sea, vast and uncaring, holds secrets that humanity was never meant to know? Could the Dragon's Triangle be a place where time and space themselves begin to bend, where reality twists and things simply vanish into nothingness? The legend of the Dragon's Triangle is not just about ships and planes disappearing. It is about the unknown, the forces of nature that can defy our understanding, and the terrifying thought that there are places where the rules of the world no longer apply. And so, the question lingers: what if the Dragon's Triangle is not just a place of disappearance, but a zone where the very fabric of reality frays, waiting to swallow all who dare enter? Suicide Forest, Aokigahara. Aokigahara, a forest at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, is known as the Suicide Forest. Over the years, it has become a place where countless people have gone to end their lives. The dense trees, the silence of the forest, and the feeling of isolation make it a perfect place for those seeking an escape. Yet, the forest has an eerie presence. Its stillness seems to carry with it an unsettling energy. Walking through Aokigahara, the air thick with tension, it's hard to shake the feeling that something is watching you. The trees seem to crowd in on you, and the path is confusing, twisting in ways that make you feel disoriented, lost, even though you are still on the trail. The more you wander, the more you begin to feel that the forest is not simply a place of death, but a place where the very atmosphere seems to pull you into its grasp. What makes Aokigahara so disturbing is not just its history, but the lingering sense that the forest itself is alive, somehow aware of those who enter. Is it the forest that calls people to their end, or do the lost souls of the forest feed on the living, drawing them into its shadows? The truth of Aokigahara seems to lie somewhere between the natural and the supernatural, where the dead linger and the living must confront their darkest fears. And so, the chilling question remains: what if the Suicide Forest is not just a place of death, but a realm where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, waiting to consume those who walk too deep into its darkness? Unfinished Sagrada Familia. The Sagrada Familia, a basilica in Barcelona, is one of the most famous architectural marvels in the world. Designed by the visionary Antoni Gaudí, construction began in 1882, yet the church remains unfinished. Gaudí himself passed away before its completion, and even today, more than a century later, it continues to be built, funded by private donations, with completion still far off. The mystery of the Sagrada Familia is not just its unfinished state. It is the fact that its design, with its organic, almost surreal forms, seems to defy the conventional rules of architecture. Every corner of the building is filled with intricate details and symbolism, yet the question remains: why was it designed in such a complex and unconventional manner? Was Gaudí channeling something greater, some divine inspiration that pushed him to create this impossible structure? As you stand before the towering spires of the Sagrada Familia, you can't help but feel that this building is not just a work of architecture, it is a symbol of something larger. It is a representation of human ambition, of our need to reach for something greater, even if it can never be fully realized in our lifetime. The fact that it remains unfinished feels like an echo of humanity itself, forever striving, never quite reaching completion. And so, the question arises, what if the Sagrada Familia is not just a building, but a manifestation of something beyond time, an expression of human desire and divine purpose, waiting to be completed in ways we can't even begin to understand? Unexplained mummy of the Taklamakan Desert. The Taklamakan Desert in China is home to a strange and eerie mystery, the discovery of mummies that date back thousands of years. These mummies, some of which are remarkably well preserved, have baffled archaeologists. They appear to be of European descent, despite the fact that the area is far removed from Europe, both geographically and culturally. How could these ancient people have traveled to such a remote and harsh desert? What makes the Taklamakan mummies so unsettling is not just their foreign appearance, but the eerie suggestion that ancient civilizations were far more interconnected than we believe. The fact that these mummies exist in a desert so isolated, with no clear explanation for how they arrived there, forces you to question everything you thought you knew about ancient migration and trade routes. As you consider the mummies, you realize that they are not just remnants of a lost culture. They are a symbol of the vast, forgotten history of humanity, a history that we may never fully uncover. And so, the question lingers, what if the mummies of the Taklamakan Desert are not just relics, but clues to a much older, much more complex story of human civilization that we have yet to understand? Haunted Island of Poveglia. Poveglia, a small island off the coast of Venice, Italy, is known as one of the most haunted places in the world. In the 18th century, it was used as a quarantine station for plague victims, and later, a mental asylum was built on the island. Many claim that the souls of the victims who died there still haunt the island, trapped in a place where life and death converged in unspeakable suffering. The island's eerie atmosphere is palpable. As you imagine walking across its abandoned grounds, you can feel the weight of its history pressing down on you. The silence is broken only by the whisper of the wind through the trees, as if the land itself is holding its breath. There are reports of strange noises, ghostly figures, and an overwhelming sense of dread that seems to permeate the island. What makes Poveglia so unsettling is not just the tales of hauntings, but the idea that it is a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is dangerously thin. It is a place where suffering was once so intense that the souls of the lost cannot find peace. And so, the question remains, what if Poveglia is not just haunted by ghosts, but by the very essence of death itself, a place where the souls of the past are forever trapped, waiting to drag the living into its grasp? Giant's Causeway. The Giant's Causeway, located on the northern coast of Ireland, is one of the most remarkable natural wonders in the world. Its unique formations, made up of nearly 40,000 interlocking basalt columns, have sparked various theories about their origin. Some believe the columns were created by ancient volcanic activity, while others suggest they are the work of giants, shaped by myth and legend. Standing before the causeway, you can't help but feel a deep sense of wonder and unease. The perfect hexagonal columns seem almost too precise to be natural, as if they were deliberately placed by an unseen hand. Could this be the work of an ancient, forgotten civilization? Or is it simply nature's mysterious way of shaping the land? The Giant's Causeway forces you to confront the idea that there are natural wonders in the world that we cannot fully understand, mysteries that may be beyond our ability to explain. It is a place where the line between myth and reality blurs, where the legends of giants meet the raw power of the earth itself. And so, you are left to wonder, what if the Giant's Causeway is not just a natural wonder, but a relic of an ancient time, a place where the past and the present collide in a way we cannot fully comprehend? Jersey Devil. In the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, a terrifying creature is said to roam, the Jersey Devil. Described as a flying, reptilian monster with the head of a horse, the body of a kangaroo, and bat-like wings, the creature has terrified locals for centuries. Reports of sightings continue to this day, but no definitive evidence of its existence has ever been found. The Jersey Devil is unsettling not just because of its appearance, but because of the stories surrounding it. Some say it was the cursed offspring of a woman named Mother Leeds. Others believe it is the spirit of a long-dead entity that haunts the woods. No matter the version of the legend, the creature remains an enigma, a symbol of the fear of the unknown. As you imagine the Jersey Devil soaring through the night sky, you realize that its true terror lies in the fact that it represents the unknown, the places in the world that remain untamed and uncharted, where creatures beyond our comprehension may still lurk. And so, the question remains, what if the Jersey Devil is not just a legend, but a living reminder of the things that lurk in the dark corners of the world, waiting to be discovered? Monsters of Loch Ness. The Loch Ness Monster, affectionately known as Nessie, has captured the imagination of millions. For centuries, people have claimed to see a large, serpentine creature swimming in the deep waters of Loch Ness in Scotland. Despite numerous investigations and photographs, no conclusive evidence has ever emerged. Yet, Nessie remains a persistent mystery, a symbol of the unexplained and the unknown. Imagine standing by the shores of Loch Ness, the mist rising from the water as the sun begins to set. The lake, vast and mysterious, holds its secrets close. Every ripple in the water, every shape in the distance, seems to beckon with the possibility of the impossible. Could a creature so large, so ancient, really be living in the depths? Or is it just a figment of our imagination, a creation of folklore and legend? The mystery of Nessie forces you to confront a terrifying question. What if there are creatures, ancient and elusive, that still exist in the world, hidden in places we can't see or understand? The Loch Ness Monster may be a myth, but it suggests that there are truths, vast and unknowable, lurking just beyond our perception. And so, you must ask, what if the truth of the Loch Ness Monster is not about the creature, but about the mysteries that exist beneath the surface of our reality, waiting to be uncovered? Fossil of the super croc. In 2014, paleontologists discovered the fossilized remains of a massive crocodile species in the Sahara Desert. Known as Caprisuchus saharicus, or the super croc, this prehistoric creature was larger than any crocodile alive today, with teeth as long as daggers and a body built for land and water. It existed about 100 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, and is believed to have hunted on land as well as in water. The discovery of the supercroc forces you to reckon with the reality of a past that is beyond our comprehension. Imagine a creature so large, so terrifying, that it could walk on land and ambush prey with terrifying speed. Yet, as you reflect on its existence, you realize that the supercroc is not just a relic of the past. It is a reminder of a time when the rules of nature were far more dangerous and unpredictable. What if there are creatures still waiting to be uncovered, remnants of an ancient world that we have forgotten or never understood? The fossil of the supercroc is more than just an ancient animal. It is a window into a past that is far stranger and more violent than we can imagine. And so, the question arises, what if the world we know today is only a shadow of the Earth's true history, and creatures like the supercroc were just the beginning of an even darker, wilder world? Moon's far side. The far side of the moon, often called the dark side, is a place shrouded in mystery. Unlike the side that faces Earth, which is well documented and explored, the far side has remained largely hidden from view, until the first photographs were taken by humans in 1959. Despite years of space exploration, the far side of the moon remains an enigma, with far less known about its surface, composition, and potential for discovery. As you think about the far side of the moon, imagine a place untouched, a place where no human foot has ever walked, where no satellite has fully mapped its surface. What secrets might lie hidden in the vast, shadowed craters and mountains? Could there be remnants of ancient alien activity? Could the far side be home to something we cannot yet comprehend, a place that holds the answers to questions about the universe that we haven't even thought to ask? The moon's far side represents a frontier that remains beyond our reach, a place where knowledge is still just a dream, hidden from our eyes by the very nature of its isolation. And so, you are left to ponder, what if the far side of the moon holds secrets that could change everything we know about the universe and about our place in it? Disappearance of the Axemen of New Orleans. In 1918 and 1919, a series of brutal murders occurred in New Orleans, all attributed to the mysterious figure known as the Axeman. The killer would enter the homes of his victims, often late at night, and strike them with an axe. The chilling detail of the case was the Axeman's taunting letters sent to the police and the press, including one where he promised to spare anyone playing jazz music at midnight. What makes the Axemen of New Orleans so unsettling is not just the gruesome nature of the murders, but the psychological manipulation of his victims and the public. The killer seemed to take pleasure in the fear he instilled, encouraging chaos and terror in a city already on edge. Despite widespread investigations, the identity of the Axeman was never discovered, and the case remains unsolved. The Axeman's disappearance is a reminder of the darkness lurking in the hearts of some individuals, the kind of darkness that defies explanation and thrives on the terror it instills in others. Could the Axeman have been an isolated figure, or was he part of a larger network, a symbol of something far more widespread? And so, the chilling thought remains, what if the Axeman is not just a figure from history, but a symbol of the evil that can hide behind a mask of normalcy, waiting to emerge when least expected? Satanic Panic of the 1980s. In the 1980s, the United States was gripped by a wave of fear and hysteria known as the Satanic Panic. Fueled by rumors of widespread satanic rituals, child abuse, and conspiracy theories, this moral panic led to numerous investigations, wrongful accusations, and ruined lives. People feared that entire networks of Satan-worshipping cults were secretly operating in the shadows, infiltrating communities, and corrupting children. The Satanic Panic is unsettling because it exposes the fragility of collective perception, the way fear can spiral out of control, leading people to believe in things that have no basis in reality. What if the panic itself was a manifestation of something darker, something that we are only beginning to understand about human psychology, about how we process fear and belief? As you reflect on this period of mass hysteria, you realize that the Satanic Panic was not just about a supposed threat from the supernatural. It was about how fear itself can shape reality, how belief can transform an ordinary community into a battleground of paranoia. And so, the question remains, what if the Satanic Panic was not an isolated incident, but a glimpse into a larger, more disturbing phenomenon, the ways in which fear can shape our understanding of the world, distorting reality itself? Salish Sea Human Foot Mystery. In the waters off the coast of British Columbia, the Salish Sea has become the site of a bizarre and unsettling mystery. Dismembered human feet have been found washed up on the shores, sometimes still in their shoes. Since 2007, over 20 such discoveries have been made, yet no one knows who these feet belong to or how they ended up in the sea. The mystery has sparked various theories, ranging from suicides to foul play, but no definitive answers have been found. What makes this mystery so unsettling is not just the gruesome nature of the discovery, but the question of why only feet are found. The lack of further body parts, arms, legs, torsos, suggests that there is something strange happening beneath the surface, something that we can't explain. As you imagine these feet floating in the water, you begin to confront a terrifying thought. What if the ocean itself is hiding its secrets from us, keeping the truth buried beneath the waves, just beyond our reach? The Salish Sea Human Foot Mystery is a reminder of how much we don't know about the world, and how the answers we seek are often hidden, slipping away from us like grains of sand. And so, you are left to ask, what if the Salish Sea is not just a body of water, but a gateway to something deeper and darker, a mystery we are not meant to uncover? Disappearance of the Yuba County Five. In 1978, 5 young men from Yuba County, California, went on a trip to watch a basketball game. They never made it home. Their car was found abandoned, with their belongings left behind, and only one of the men was found weeks later, dead in the wilderness, with no clear explanation of how he got there. The other 4 men were never found, and the case remains one of the most puzzling disappearances in U.S. history. The disappearance of the Yuba County Five is unsettling because it offers no closure. Theories abound. Did the men become disoriented and lost in the mountains? Were they abducted? Or was there something more sinister at play? Something that defies logic? As you consider the men's fate, the mystery grows more complex. What if there are places, moments, where we simply vanish, lost to time, without explanation or trace? What if the truth of their disappearance is something that can never be understood, something beyond our comprehension? And so, the haunting question remains, what if the Yuba County Five are not the only ones lost to time, and what other disappearances lie hidden, slipping through the cracks of reality? Great Mississippi Flood of 1927. In 1927, the Mississippi River flooded, displacing hundreds of thousands of people and causing widespread devastation. The flood became one of the most catastrophic natural disasters in U.S. history, But what makes it so unsettling is the question of whether it was truly an act of nature, or if human intervention played a role in the disaster. Many believe that poor decisions in flood control led to the severity of the disaster, but the full truth of what happened is still debated. The Great Mississippi Flood is not just a reminder of nature's power, it is a stark reminder of human fallibility. What if the flood could have been prevented? What if human actions were directly responsible for the suffering caused by the disaster? As you reflect on this tragedy, you realize that the flood was more than just a natural disaster. It was a failure of foresight, a warning about the consequences of ignoring the delicate balance between human progress and the forces of nature. And so, the question remains, what if the Great Mississippi Flood was not just a natural event, but a man-made disaster, a reminder that our actions can have consequences far beyond our understanding? Curse of King Tut. The discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 is one of the greatest archaeological finds of all time, but it is also the source of one of history's most enduring mysteries, the curse of the pharaoh. Legend has it that those who entered the tomb were doomed, and several members of the excavation team died under mysterious or unusual circumstances shortly after the tomb was opened. What makes the curse of King Tut so unsettling is not just the deaths themselves, but the idea that there might be forces beyond human control, forces that linger in the tombs of the ancient dead. Could the curse be real, or is it simply a product of fear and superstition? Could the ancient Egyptians have placed a curse on their tombs to protect their treasures, or is it a deeper, more mysterious force at work, something tied to the very fabric of time and history? The truth of the curse may never be fully understood, but it forces us to confront the idea that some places, some objects, are not just relics of the past, but possess an energy, a force that can transcend time itself. And so, the question persists, what if the curse of King Tut is not just a legend, but a reminder that some mysteries, some forces, are beyond human comprehension, and once they are unleashed, they can never be contained? Mysterious sound of the hum of Taos. In the small town of Taos, New Mexico, residents have reported hearing a persistent low-frequency hum that seems to come from nowhere. Some people hear it all the time, while others hear it only intermittently. Scientists have studied the sound but have been unable to pinpoint its origin. The hum, known as the Taos hum, has led to numerous theories, including electrical disturbances, high-tension power lines, or even underground geological activity. But no explanation has ever been definitively proven. The unsettling thing about the Taos hum is not just that it cannot be explained, but that it has a profound effect on those who hear it. Some report physical symptoms, such as headaches, nausea, and sleeplessness. The hum seems to invade the minds of those who experience it, a reminder that some things in our world can affect us in ways that science cannot measure or fully understand. As you imagine the deep, vibrating hum reverberating through your bones, you realize that some mysteries are not just about what we know, but about what we can never fully grasp. The hum is a sound that exists in the space between what we perceive and what we can explain. And so, the question lingers, what if the Taos hum is not a sound, but a reminder of the limits of our perception, a clue to something deeper, something that exists just beyond our comprehension? Hindenburg disaster. In 1937, the Hindenburg, a German passenger airship, caught fire while attempting to land in Lakehurst, New Jersey. The disaster was broadcast live on the radio, and its harrowing images of the massive Zeppelin bursting into flames and crashing to the ground have been seared into the collective memory. The cause of the fire was never definitively determined, but it's widely believed that the ship's hydrogen fuel ignited, leading to the catastrophic explosion. The Hindenburg disaster is unsettling not just because of its tragic loss of life, but because it marks the end of the airship era. The Hindenburg was considered a marvel of modern engineering, a symbol of human progress and ambition. Yet, in a single moment, it was reduced to ashes, a reminder of how fragile even the most ambitious achievements can be. As you imagine the Hindenburg's final moments, the flames licking at the sky, you begin to confront the terrifying thought, what if the things we believe to be invincible, our advancements, our creations, are just as fragile as the lives we lead? What if, in our pursuit of greatness, we are always one misstep away from disaster? And so, you must ask, what if the true lesson of the Hindenburg is not just about the fragility of technology, but about the vulnerability of human ambition itself? Ghost of the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary, once a grand ocean liner, now rests as a hotel and museum in Long Beach, California. But it is also known as one of the most haunted places in the world. Numerous reports have surfaced over the years of strange noises, ghostly apparitions, and unexplained events aboard the ship. Some claim to have seen the spirits of former passengers and crew members, while others describe eerie encounters with shadows and voices that seem to come from nowhere. What makes the ghost of the Queen Mary so unsettling is not just the idea of hauntings, but the feeling that the ship itself is somehow alive with memory. The ship, which once carried people across the world, is now a place where those very people seem to linger, caught between life and death. The ship, in some strange way, has become a bridge to the past, a place where the line between the living and the dead is not as clear as we would like to believe. As you imagine walking the darkened corridors of the Queen Mary, the sensation of being watched intensifies. The past is never truly gone, it seems. It lingers, a shadow that follows you, refusing to be forgotten. And so, the question arises, what if the Queen Mary is not just haunted, but is a vessel of memory, a place where the past refuses to stay buried, and the dead are never truly gone? Alaska Triangle. In the vast wilderness of Alaska, there exists a region known as the Alaska Triangle. It's an area where more than 20,000 people have disappeared without a trace in the past 50 years. While some attribute these disappearances to the harsh conditions of the Alaskan wilderness, others suggest something more sinister. Unexplained phenomena, including mysterious lights and strange sounds, have been reported by those who have ventured into the region, adding to the mystery of the Alaska Triangle. What makes the Alaska Triangle so chilling is not just the number of disappearances, but the complete lack of evidence. There are no bodies, no traces, and no explanations. It's as if the people who disappear are simply swallowed by the land itself, as though something is out there waiting to claim them, and then erase all signs of their existence. The Alaska Triangle challenges our understanding of the world and the forces that govern it. Could there be unknown forces, something natural or supernatural, that cause people to vanish without a trace? And if so, what is the true nature of these forces? As you consider this, you realize that some places are not just dangerous, they are places where reality itself seems to shift, where the boundary between the known and the unknown is perilously thin. And so, you must ask, what if the Alaska Triangle is not just a place of disappearances, but a gateway to something much darker, where the rules of reality are bent and twisted, waiting to consume those who wander too far? Lost Dutchman's Mine. The Lost Dutchman's Mine is a legendary gold mine hidden somewhere in the Superstition Mountains of Arizona. Many have searched for it, but few have returned, and even fewer have found anything. The legend of the Lost Dutchman's Mine is a tale of greed, obsession, and death. Some claim the mine was marked with symbols that can lead to its location, while others say that the mine is cursed, and anyone who seeks it will meet a tragic end. What makes the Lost Dutchman's Mine so unsettling is not just the idea of hidden treasure, but the trail of mystery and death that follows it. Countless treasure hunters have ventured into the mountains, only to disappear, leaving behind nothing but rumors and wild speculation. Is the mine real? Or is it a myth, designed to ensnare the hearts and minds of those who dare to seek it? The Lost Dutchman's Mine forces you to confront the reality of human desire, the way it can twist our perception, leading us to risk everything for something that may not even exist. And so, you must wonder, what if the true treasure of the Lost Dutchman's Mine is not gold, but the deadly obsession it creates in those who seek it? Death of Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, the iconic actress and symbol of Hollywood glamour, was found dead in her home in 1962 at the age of 36. Officially, her death was ruled a suicide due to a drug overdose, but the circumstances surrounding her death have long been the subject of speculation. Some believe she was murdered, while others suggest that she was silenced to cover up a darker truth. What makes Monroe's death so unsettling is not just the tragic loss of such a beloved figure, but the lingering questions that remain. Was she truly depressed, or was her death the result of something more sinister, something that has been kept hidden in the shadows? Who benefited from her death, and why has the truth remained so elusive? As you reflect on her death, you realize that Monroe's tragic end is not just about a Hollywood star, it is a symbol of the darkness that can lie behind fame and success. Her life and death continue to fascinate because they highlight the way in which the world can consume its brightest stars, leaving behind only questions. And so, you must ask, what if Monroe's death was not an isolated tragedy, but a glimpse into a darker, more complex world where the truth is hidden, and the lives of those in the spotlight are shaped by forces we can't see? Black hole at the center of the Milky Way. At the center of our galaxy, lurking in the shadows of space, lies a supermassive black hole known as Sagittarius A star. This black hole, millions of times more massive than our Sun, is a force of unimaginable power, bending space and time around it. Yet, it remains largely invisible to us, its presence inferred only by the movement of nearby stars. What makes this black hole so unsettling is not just its massive size or its power to warp the fabric of reality, but the fact that we live within its grasp. The black hole at the center of the Milky Way is a constant reminder of how fragile our place in the universe truly is. Imagine the immense pressure of space surrounding you as you stand on the edge of this cosmic abyss, watching as light itself is pulled into the void. The deeper you look into the darkness, the more you feel reality itself slipping away. What lies beyond the event horizon? What happens when you cross that boundary and can never return? The black hole is not just a point of destruction, it is a symbol of the unknown, a place where the rules of physics themselves break down, where reality itself ceases to function as we understand it. And so, the question rises, if a black hole can twist the very fabric of the universe, what else in our reality could be similarly distorted, hidden just beyond our perception, waiting to consume everything we know? Pollock twins. The Pollock twins were born in 1957, 2 years after the tragic death of their older sisters in a car accident. What makes their story so eerie is the fact that, as they grew up, they began to exhibit strange behaviors that seemed to reflect the lives of their deceased sisters. They would speak about things they could not have known, and they even recognized people and places they had never visited. Some believe that the twins were reincarnations of their deceased sisters, while others suggest that the girls' memories were passed down to them, somehow, through unknown mechanisms. The Pollock twins' story challenges the boundaries of life and death, memory and identity, suggesting that consciousness might transcend the physical body. Imagine being one of the twins, living a life that feels eerily connected to the past, a past you should have no memory of. The more you learn, the more you realize that your own identity is not entirely your own. It's a mix of your own experiences and those of someone else, someone who no longer exists. The mystery of the Pollock twins forces you to ask, what if memory is not just something that belongs to us, but something that can be transferred, passed from one person to another, from one life to the next? Mysterious human footprints in Mexico. In the desert of Mexico, researchers uncovered a series of human footprints that date back over 40,000 years, far earlier than previously believed. What makes these footprints so puzzling is that they were found alongside the footprints of prehistoric animals that should have never coexisted with humans. This discovery forces us to rethink the timeline of human history, suggesting that early humans may have been far more widespread and adaptable than we previously thought. But the mystery doesn't end there. The footprints are so well preserved that they seem to defy time itself. How could human beings have lived in the same environment as creatures that were supposed to have gone extinct millennia before? Could these footprints represent something more than just evidence of early human existence? Could they be the remnants of a lost civilization, a forgotten race that lived in a time and place we've yet to understand? The footprints challenge our understanding of human history, forcing us to confront the possibility that much of what we know about the past may be wrong, or at least incomplete. And so, the question lingers, what if human history is not just a series of isolated events, but a continuous thread that has been hidden from us, waiting to be uncovered in places we least expect? Chupacabra. The chupacabra is a creature from Latin American folklore, said to be a blood-sucking monster that preys on livestock, particularly goats. Descriptions of the creature vary, but it is often described as reptilian, with spines along its back and sharp, alien features. The chupacabra has been blamed for mysterious deaths of animals in rural areas, but no one has ever been able to capture one, leaving the creature shrouded in mystery. What makes the chupacabra so disturbing is not just its appearance, but the fear it evokes. Could there be an animal, a predator, so unknown, so alien, that it could exist without our knowledge? What if the chupacabra is not a creature from folklore, but a real, living entity, something that has managed to avoid detection for years, lurking in the shadows, preying on the unsuspecting? As you imagine the creature moving through the night, invisible and terrifying, you begin to realize that the true horror of the chupacabra is not its appearance, but the idea that there are things in this world, creatures that should not exist, lurking just beyond our reach. And so, you ask yourself, what if the chupacabra is not just a myth, but a real, living creature, one that has been hiding in the dark, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? Disappearance of Flight 19. In 1945, 5 U.S. Navy bombers, known as Flight 19, disappeared without a trace during a training flight over the Bermuda Triangle. The flight's pilots became disoriented, losing their bearings and communication with the ground. Despite being sent out to search for them, a rescue plane also vanished. No wreckage was ever found, and the incident remains one of the greatest mysteries of aviation history. What makes the disappearance of Flight 19 so chilling is not just the confusion and disarray of the pilots, but the eerie sense of helplessness. There were no signs of distress, no explanation for their sudden disappearance. It's as though they had simply vanished, absorbed by the sea or the unknown forces of the Bermuda Triangle. The mystery of Flight 19 suggests that there are places in the world where even the most advanced technology, the most experienced pilots, can be swallowed whole, with no trace left behind. What if there are regions of our world that exist beyond the reach of understanding, places where even the laws of physics seem to fail? And so, the haunting question persists. What if there are places, like the Bermuda Triangle, where reality itself bends and warps, taking us and our creations without a trace? Chichen Itza Pyramids. The pyramids of Chichen Itza, located in the heart of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, were once the center of the ancient Mayan civilization. The grandeur of the pyramids, their astronomical alignments, and their sophisticated design suggest a deep understanding of science, mathematics, and the cosmos. Yet, the true purpose of these structures remains a mystery. Were they merely religious monuments, or were they part of a much larger system of knowledge, one that the Mayans have left behind for us to discover? Standing before the pyramids, you can feel the weight of their history pressing down on you. The pyramids are not just stone structures, they are symbols of an advanced civilization that flourished, then disappeared. What knowledge did the Mayans possess that allowed them to construct such a feat of engineering? And why, despite centuries of study, do we still struggle to understand the full extent of their knowledge? The true mystery of Chichen Itza is not just the pyramids themselves, but the culture that built them. What were they trying to communicate with these massive stone structures? Was it a message to the stars? Or was it a way of connecting the world of the living with the world of the gods? And so, you must ask, what if the pyramids of Chichen Itza are not just relics of the past, but symbols of a knowledge that we have yet to fully uncover, hidden just beyond our understanding? Isdal Woman. In 1970, the body of a woman was found in Norway's Isdalen Valley, her identity unknown. She had no identification, and her clothing had been burned. The case became even more mysterious when investigators found that she had used several fake identities during her travels through Europe. Despite extensive efforts, the identity of the Isdal woman has never been discovered, and her death remains unsolved. What makes the Isdal woman so haunting is not just the mystery of her death, but the idea that she may have been involved in a larger, secretive operation. Some believe she was a spy, others think she was involved in some sort of criminal enterprise. But the truth remains elusive, buried beneath layers of deception and secrecy. The Isdal woman's story forces us to confront the idea that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. She may have been just one person, but her life and death represents something much larger, something hidden from view, beyond the reach of conventional understanding. And so, the question remains, what if the Isdal woman was not just a mystery, but a part of a larger, more secretive world, one that we will never fully uncover? Handprint on the wall of the Winchester House. The Winchester Mystery House, a sprawling mansion in San Jose, California, is famous for its bizarre architecture, including staircases that lead to nowhere, doors that open into walls, and hidden passages. According to legend, the house was built by Sarah Winchester, the widow of the inventor of the famous rifle, who believed that she was cursed by the spirits of those killed by her husband's invention. She reportedly designed the house to appease these spirits, constructing it continuously until her death. One of the most unsettling features of the house is a handprint found on a wall, said to be the mark of a spirit who wanted to leave its imprint on the living. But what makes this handprint so chilling is not just its mystery, but the idea that it might not be the work of a spirit at all. Could it be a reminder of the human need to leave a mark on the world, to claim our place in history, even in the face of death? The Winchester Mystery House is more than just a strange building. It is a reflection of our own fears and desires. It challenges us to consider the possibility that we are all haunted, not just by spirits, but by our own need to understand the unknown. And so, you ask yourself, what if the handprint on the wall is not just a ghostly relic, but a symbol of our own need to leave something behind, even when faced with the mystery of death? Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch, located in Utah, is infamous for its strange and terrifying events. Over the years, countless reports of UFO sightings, bizarre creatures, and paranormal activity have surfaced from the ranch. Some believe the ranch is a hotspot for supernatural phenomena, while others think it is a place where dark forces, skinwalkers, shape-shifting creatures from Native American legend, dwell, watching and waiting. What makes Skinwalker Ranch so unsettling is not just the array of bizarre occurrences, but the idea that something dark and ancient might be at work. The ranch seems to be a place where reality itself becomes twisted, where the boundaries between the natural and supernatural blur, leaving those who visit unsure of what is real and what is imagined. The mystery of Skinwalker Ranch challenges our understanding of the world and forces us to ask, what if there are places on this earth where the rules of reality no longer apply, where ancient forces lie dormant, waiting to be awakened? Wendigo. The Wendigo is a creature from Algonquian folklore, a malevolent, cannibalistic spirit that embodies greed, violence, and insatiable hunger. The Wendigo is said to be able to possess humans, transforming them into creatures driven by an uncontrollable craving for human flesh. Those who encounter the Wendigo are often driven mad, and some believe that once possessed, the person is doomed to a life of endless hunger, forever hunting and consuming others. What makes the Wendigo so unsettling is not just its physical form, but the fear it represents. The Wendigo is more than just a monster. It is a symbol of the darkest aspects of human nature: the desire for power, the corruption of the soul, and the destruction that follows when one becomes consumed by greed. It forces us to ask, how far are we willing to go to satisfy our darkest desires, and what happens when we cross the line? The Wendigo is a reminder that there are forces in the world, whether supernatural or psychological, that can overpower us, taking control of our minds and bodies in ways we cannot understand. And so, you must ask, what if the Wendigo is not just a myth, but a warning, one that calls us to examine the hidden darkness within ourselves? Red Sea pedestrians. In the Bible, during the Exodus, Moses is said to have parted the Red Sea, allowing the Israelites to escape from Egypt. But what if the parting of the Red Sea wasn't just a miraculous event, but something that can be explained by natural phenomena? Some have suggested that the sea was not parted by divine intervention but by a rare set of geological events, such as a windstorm or an earthquake, that temporarily created a land bridge. The mystery here lies in the intersection between the supernatural and the natural world, where miracles and science blur. What makes the Red Sea pedestrians so haunting is the idea that miracles and natural events are not always distinct. What if the true nature of human history is a combination of myth, reality, and chance, and that the divine is often indistinguishable from the forces of nature? The parting of the Red Sea challenges our understanding of what is possible. Could the miraculous events of ancient texts be just one more layer in a much larger, more complex reality that we are not meant to fully understand? And so, the question remains, what if the line between the supernatural and the natural is thinner than we think, and that the world we know is just as full of miracles as it is of mystery? Missing Egyptian Queen. The identity of Egypt's lost queen has puzzled archaeologists and historians for centuries. While many powerful women in ancient Egypt, like Cleopatra, are well documented, there is a queen whose identity remains shrouded in mystery. Some believe she may have been the daughter of a pharaoh or the wife of one, while others speculate that she was a ruler in her own right, whose name and legacy were erased from history for reasons lost to time. What makes the mystery of the missing Egyptian queen so disturbing is the idea that history itself can be rewritten. The erasure of this queen's name from the annals of history raises the terrifying possibility that entire chapters of human civilization could be lost, buried beneath the sands of time, never to be uncovered. The mystery forces us to question the very nature of historical records. Who decides what is remembered and what is forgotten? What power do we have over the past? And how easily can we manipulate the truth? And so, the unsettling question arises: what if the past is not just lost, but deliberately obscured by forces beyond our control? Inca's Lost City of Gold. The Lost City of Gold, El Dorado, is a myth that has captured the imagination of adventurers for centuries. According to legend, the Incas hid their vast treasures in a city made entirely of gold, but despite countless expeditions to find it, no trace of El Dorado has ever been discovered. Some believe it lies deep within the Amazon rainforest, while others think it was lost to time, buried by the very people who created it. What makes the mystery of El Dorado so haunting is not just the treasure, but the idea that something so magnificent could exist, and yet remain so elusive. The search for the lost city of gold represents humanity's desire for wealth and power, yet it also symbolizes our constant quest for something that might never be found. What if the city is a metaphor, a symbol of the unattainable, forever just beyond our reach? The mystery of El Dorado forces us to confront a terrifying thought. What if the things we seek most in life are not meant to be found, and the pursuit itself is the true treasure? And so, you must ask, what if the lost city of gold is not a place, but a concept, something we chase for a lifetime, only to find that its true value lies not in its discovery, but in the pursuit? Mysterious death of Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison, the iconic lead singer of The Doors, died at the age of 27 under mysterious circumstances in 1971. Officially, his death was attributed to heart failure, but no autopsy was performed, and the details surrounding his death remain unclear. Some speculate that he faked his own death, others believe he was involved in the darker side of Hollywood, and some argue that his death was a tragic consequence of his chaotic lifestyle. What makes Morrison's death so unsettling is not just the mystery of his passing, but the idea that his death became part of his legend. Jim Morrison was a man who thrived on rebellion and mystique, and his death, like his life, became part of the myth. But what if the mystery of his death is not just about the unanswered questions, but about the way we shape legends and myths around the untimely end of the stars we idolize? Morrison's death is a reminder that sometimes the end of a life is not just about loss, it's about creating an enigma, a story that never truly ends, but lives on in the questions it raises. And so, you are left to ask, what if Jim Morrison's death is not a mystery to be solved, but a symbol of how we create legends around the people we can never fully understand? Last of the Mohicans. The Last of the Mohicans refers to the tragic end of the Native American Mohican tribe, immortalized in James Fenimore Cooper's novel. The story, which is often seen as an idealized version of the tribe's demise, raises unsettling questions about cultural assimilation and the erasure of indigenous peoples. The Mohicans, along with many other Native American tribes, faced annihilation as European settlers expanded across North America. What makes the story of the Mohicans so unsettling is not just their tragic loss, but the fact that entire cultures, languages, and ways of life were wiped out. The extinction of these peoples is a powerful reminder of the fragility of cultural identity and the darkness of colonialism. What if the true legacy of the Mohicans is not just their tragic end, but the fact that their story has been told primarily by those who conquered them? And so, you must ask, what if the Last of the Mohicans is not just a story, but a symbol of the many cultures that have been lost, their voices silenced, and their stories rewritten? Mystery of El Chupacabra. The Chupacabra, a legendary creature said to drain the blood of livestock, has terrorized rural communities in Latin America for decades. Descriptions vary, but it is often depicted as a reptilian creature with spikes along its back or a hairless, vampiric beast. Despite numerous reports of sightings and attacks, no conclusive evidence has ever been found. What makes the Chupacabra so unsettling is not just the fear it inspires, but the idea that it might be real, something lurking in the shadows, preying on the living. The creature represents a blend of fear, myth, and the unknown, forcing us to confront our own deep-seated anxieties about what might be hidden in the dark corners of the world. Could the chupacabra be a real creature, misunderstood by those who have encountered it? Or is it simply a product of folklore, a story designed to explain the unexplainable? And so, you must ask, what if the chupacabra is not just a myth, but a reflection of our deepest fears, an ancient terror waiting to emerge from the shadows? Angel hair phenomenon. The angel hair phenomenon is a mysterious event in which fine, thread-like material appears in the sky, often after UFO sightings. These delicate strands are said to fall from the sky in the aftermath of UFO encounters, leaving behind no trace or explanation. The phenomenon has been reported in various parts of the world, yet scientists remain puzzled by its origin and composition. What makes angel hair so eerie is not just its otherworldly appearance, but the unsettling idea that it may be a residue left behind by something not from this world. What if these threads are not just a natural phenomenon, but a physical manifestation of something far more strange and elusive, an unknown material from a realm we can barely understand? The angel hair phenomenon forces us to consider the possibility that the Earth is not just visited by UFOs, but that these encounters leave behind traces that defy explanation. And so, the haunting question arises: what if angel hair is not just a byproduct of UFO activity, but a clue to something far larger, something beyond the boundaries of human perception? Phoenix lights. In 1997, thousands of people in Phoenix, Arizona, witnessed a series of strange lights in the sky. The lights formed a V-shaped pattern, moving silently across the sky, before disappearing into the night. Despite numerous reports and a government investigation, the true nature of the lights remains unexplained. Some believe they were military flares, while others suggest they were extraterrestrial in origin. The Phoenix lights represent a mystery that is both public and deeply unsettling. What makes the event so eerie is not just the number of witnesses, but the silence that followed. Why were so many people able to see these lights, yet no one was able to explain them? And why does the government remain so silent about the event? As you think about the Phoenix lights, you begin to confront the possibility that there are things happening in the skies above us that we are not meant to understand. Phenomena that elude our grasp, that leave us with more questions than answers. And so, you must ask, what if the Phoenix lights are not just an isolated event, but a sign that there are forces in the sky, hidden from view, waiting to be revealed when we are ready to face them? Death of Princess Diana. Princess Diana's death in 1997 was one of the most shocking and tragic events of the 20th century. Officially ruled an accident caused by a car crash in Paris, many believe that the circumstances surrounding her death were far more sinister. Despite numerous investigations, conspiracy theories continue to swirl around the events of that fateful night, ranging from the involvement of the British royal family to secret government cover-ups. What makes Princess Diana's death so unsettling is not just the loss of an icon, but the pervasive uncertainty surrounding her passing. Was it truly an accident, or was her life and death part of a much larger, darker narrative? The fact that questions still linger, years after the event, forces us to confront the idea that not all tragedies are as clear-cut as they seem. Diana's death challenges our belief in the finality of certain events. Even when the truth seems obvious, there are always questions that remain, hidden in the shadows. And so, you must wonder, what if Princess Diana's death was not an isolated incident, but part of a larger, more mysterious story, one that we may never fully understand? Lizard man of scape or swamp. In the small town of Bishopville, South Carolina, a terrifying creature is said to lurk in the dense waters of scape or swamp. The lizard man, described as a 7-foot-tall reptilian humanoid with glowing red eyes, was first reported in 1988 when a teenager claimed to have encountered the creature while driving. Since then, numerous sightings and reports have surfaced, but no physical evidence has ever been found. What makes the lizard man of scape or swamp so unsettling is not just the creature's appearance, but the way it seems to exist on the fringe of reality. Is it simply a product of folklore and urban legend, or is there something more to the creature's presence in the swamp? Could there be a species of unknown reptilian humanoids living in the remote swamps, hiding just out of sight? The mystery of the lizard man forces us to consider the possibility that there are creatures in the world, hidden in places we rarely venture, that exist outside of our understanding, waiting to be discovered. And so, the question remains, what if the lizard man is not just a myth, but a living, breathing creature that is simply waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Disappearance of the Beaumont children. In 1966, 3 children, Jane, Arna, and Grant Beaumont, disappeared without a trace from Glenelg Beach in South Australia. They were last seen playing near the beach, but when their mother returned to pick them up, they were gone. Despite extensive searches and numerous theories, the Beaumont children were never found. The case remains one of Australia's most haunting and unresolved mysteries. What makes their disappearance so chilling is the complete lack of evidence. No bodies, no clues, no sign of struggle. Could the children have been abducted? Or is there a darker force at work, something that caused them to vanish in the blink of an eye, swallowed by the sea, or some unseen presence? The mystery of the Beaumont children's disappearance forces us to confront the terrifying possibility that people, especially children, can simply vanish, leaving behind nothing but empty space and unanswered questions. And so, the unsettling thought lingers. What if the Beaumont children weren't just lost, but taken by something we cannot see or understand? Death of Cleopatra. The death of Cleopatra VII, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, remains one of history's most mysterious and tragic events. Officially, it is believed that she committed suicide by snakebite, but many questions remain about the circumstances surrounding her death. Was it truly a suicide, or was she murdered? Did her death mark the end of Egypt as an independent nation, or was there something more at play? Something that we cannot fully comprehend? What makes Cleopatra's death so unsettling is not just her status as a ruler, but the legacy she left behind. Cleopatra was a woman who defied the conventions of her time, who shaped history with her beauty, intelligence, and political power. To think that her life ended so abruptly and mysteriously forces us to confront the idea that even the greatest of figures can fall prey to forces beyond their control. And so, you must wonder, what if Cleopatra's death was not an isolated tragedy, but part of a much larger story that we will never fully understand? One that changed the course of history? Blood Falls of Antarctica. In Antarctica, there is a strange phenomenon known as blood falls, where red-colored water flows from the Taylor Glacier into Lake Bonny. The source of the blood-red color is iron oxide, which leaches into the water as it flows through the glacier. However, what makes the blood falls so unsettling is the fact that the water comes from a subterranean lake that has been isolated from the outside world for millions of years. Could there be life down there, in a place where life should not exist? The mystery of the blood falls forces us to consider the possibility that life can exist in the most extreme and isolated environments, places that are inhospitable to life as we know it. What if the red waters are not just an anomaly, but a sign of something greater, something hidden deep within the earth? The blood falls are a reminder of the secrets that lie beneath the surface of our planet, waiting to be uncovered. Could there be things living deep within the earth that we cannot yet fathom? And so, you must ask, what if the blood falls are not just a geological curiosity, but a glimpse into an unseen world, where life exists in the most unexpected places? Mysterious suicide of Brian Schaefer. In 2006, Brian Schaefer, a 27-year-old medical student from Ohio, disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Surveillance footage shows him entering a bar with friends, but no footage shows him leaving. Despite extensive searches and investigations, Brian was never found, and the mystery of his disappearance has led to numerous theories. Some believe he faked his own death, others think he was murdered. But the question remains, how could someone simply vanish in the middle of a busy area, with no evidence of a crime or a struggle? What makes Brian's disappearance so unsettling is not just the lack of explanation, but the eerie sense of finality. There are no signs of foul play, no clues that suggest what happened, and no reason for him to disappear. It's as though he simply vanished from existence, swallowed by the world around him. The mystery of Brian Schaefer's disappearance forces us to confront the unsettling reality that some people can disappear, not just physically, but from memory, leaving behind nothing but questions. And so, you must wonder, what if the mystery of Brian Schaefer is not about what happened to him, but about how easily someone can vanish from our world, leaving no trace behind? Piri Reis Map. The Piri Reis Map, created in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral and cartographer, is one of the most famous and mysterious maps in history. It depicts the coast of South America with remarkable accuracy, and it includes details of Antarctica that should have been unknown to people in the 16th century. How could a map created more than 500 years ago depict features that were not discovered until much later? The Piri Reis map suggests the possibility that ancient civilizations had knowledge of the world far beyond what we've been taught. The map challenges our understanding of history, implying that there were advanced societies that existed long before modern technology. What if this map is not just a historical artifact, but a clue to an ancient world, one that we are only beginning to understand? The mystery of the Piri Reis map forces us to confront the possibility that human history is far older and more complex than we currently believe. And so, you must ask, what if the Piri Reis map is not just a map, but a symbol of a forgotten knowledge, a lost civilization that once understood the world in ways we can't yet comprehend? Oak Island Money Pit. Oak Island, located off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, is home to one of the most tantalizing and enduring mysteries in the world, the Money Pit. In the late 18th century, treasure hunters discovered a deep, circular shaft filled with layers of logs and strange symbols. Over the years, multiple expeditions have attempted to uncover the treasure buried on the island, but each attempt has resulted in failure and even death. Despite advanced technology, no one has ever fully uncovered what lies at the bottom of the pit. What makes the Money Pit so unsettling is not just the treasure it promises, but the unexplained forces that seem to guard it. Some believe it is the hidden treasure of pirates, while others think it may be connected to the Knights Templar or an ancient civilization. But whatever the true story is, the pit itself is a symbol of human obsession, an obsession that has driven people to risk everything in the search for something that may not even exist. The more you think about Oak Island, the more you realize that the true mystery is not just the treasure, but the curse that seems to haunt anyone who dares to search for it. What if the Money Pit is not just a hole in the ground, but a place where the very forces of history and time conspire to keep the truth buried? And so, you must ask, what if the Money Pit is not just a treasure trove waiting to be found, but a warning to those who dare to dig too deep, a mystery that will never be solved? Lake Vostok Mystery. Beneath the thick ice sheets of Antarctica lies Lake Vostok, one of the largest subglacial lakes in the world. Scientists have long speculated that the lake, isolated for millions of years, may harbor unique forms of life, creatures and ecosystems that have evolved in complete isolation from the rest of the world. In recent years, drilling expeditions have reached the lake's waters, but the true extent of its mysteries remains hidden. What makes the Lake Vostok mystery so unsettling is not just the possibility of undiscovered life, but the fact that this pristine ecosystem has been untouched by humans for eons. What lies beneath the ice could hold the key to understanding life on Earth, and possibly life elsewhere in the universe. The lake may contain ancient microorganisms, and who knows what secrets it could reveal about the origins of life itself. But the deeper you consider the mystery of Lake Vostok, the more you realize that it's not just about discovery. It's about the unknown forces that govern the natural world, forces that remain beyond our reach, waiting for us to uncover them. And so, you must ask, what if Lake Vostok holds secrets that humanity is not meant to know, and the creatures hiding in its depths are part of a story too ancient to be understood? Green Children of Wool Pit. The Green Children of Wool Pit is one of the most bizarre and unsettling legends in English folklore. In the 12th century, two children, a brother and sister, appeared in the village of Wool Pit, Suffolk. They were covered in green-tinted skin and spoke an unknown language. The children claimed to come from a land called St. Martin's Land, a place that seemed to exist outside of the known world. Despite efforts to care for them, the boy soon died, but the girl eventually adapted to life in the village, losing her green color and learning to speak English. What makes the story of the Green Children so disturbing is not just the children's strange appearance, but the mystery of where they came from. Did they somehow emerge from an undiscovered part of the world, or were they the victims of something more sinister? Perhaps a failed experiment or an alien encounter. Their story suggests that there are gaps in our understanding of the world, places and people that exist just beyond our perception. The Green Children of Wool Pit force us to ask, what if there are entire realms, hidden just beneath the surface of our reality, waiting to be discovered? Places where things we cannot explain exist, waiting for us to uncover them. Superstition Mountains. The Superstition Mountains in Arizona have long been a place of myth and legend, particularly due to the lost Dutchman's gold mine. Many treasure hunters have ventured into the mountains in search of the fabled mine, but most have never returned. Stories of strange occurrences, disorienting fog, sudden storms, and inexplicable visions have plagued those who attempt to explore the mountains. Some say the mountains are cursed, and that the land is haunted by malevolent spirits, perhaps the restless souls of those who sought the gold and were lost forever. What makes the Superstition Mountains so unnerving is not just the treacherous terrain or the tantalizing promise of gold, but the pervasive sense of dread that seems to hang over the place. Could the mountains truly be cursed? Or is it something else, some unknown force that causes people to vanish, to lose themselves in the labyrinth of the jagged peaks? The mountains are a place where the boundary between myth and reality is dangerously thin, where those who venture too deep may never return. The Superstition Mountains are not just a physical place. They are a symbol of the dark side of human ambition, of the lengths we will go to in order to seek treasure, even if it costs us everything. And so, you must wonder, what if the Superstition Mountains are not just a place of lost treasure, but a place where the very forces of nature and history come together to swallow those who dare to uncover their secrets? Crystal Palace of Atlantis. The Crystal Palace of Atlantis is a mythical structure said to have existed on the fabled island of Atlantis, a civilization believed to have been incredibly advanced. Descriptions of the palace vary, but it is often depicted as a massive building made of shimmering crystal, housing ancient knowledge and power. Legends suggest that the palace was a center of wisdom, where the greatest minds of Atlantis gathered. But when Atlantis fell, the Crystal Palace was lost to the sea, along with the rest of the island, leaving behind only the echoes of its existence. What makes the mystery of the Crystal Palace so unsettling is not just the idea of a lost city, but the possibility that such a civilization once existed, one that was far more advanced than we can imagine, one that possessed knowledge and technology that we have yet to understand. What if the ruins of Atlantis are not just lost, but hidden beneath the sea, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? The Crystal Palace of Atlantis represents the dark allure of the unknown, the possibility that there are civilizations, cultures, and places we are yet to uncover, places that hold knowledge and power beyond our comprehension. And so, the haunting question persists: what if the Crystal Palace of Atlantis is not just a myth, but a glimpse into a forgotten world, waiting for us to uncover its secrets if we dare?